it's a it's a big energy that's urging me and that keeps pushing me to go live. I don't really have a subject, but I know that I've been getting a lot of downloads about dragons and how they're actually real. It sounds absurd to me, especially initially, and always looking at them as a fairy tale. But the more I think about it, or have been thinking about it lately, it's become evident that it's also one of those things that have been covered up and masked and veiled and lied about in order to keep you from tapping into your true essence and your true power. So the thing is to understand that the truth is much stranger than the lies. And when you get that, you'll see that even the things that are so-called fiction are usually the things that are real, and the things that are so-called real are usually the things that are fake or fiction. That's what the lies usually are. It's all switched around purposely, intentionally to initially create that cognitive dissonance. It's like they'll tell you, or the powers that are so called in charge or that have the access to this ancient knowledge or that know, instead of them sharing the knowledge, they choose to veil it and to cloak it and to keep it to themselves in order to feel like they are the only uh, gods, or in order to control people or treat them as cattle and slaves instead of sharing the knowledge, or at least having it be not veiled. You know what I mean? Not necessarily trying to push it or indoctrinate people or force it upon people, but just having it accessible. And they're afraid to have it accessible because they don't want to lose the illusion of power that they have. When they only have this illusion of power, is because they hoard and lie about things and choose to control people instead of just allowing, when initially they go back into hurting themselves and stifling their own growth and not realizing that evolution is eternal and there's still more for them to learn, so they've capped themselves to a certain aspect instead of allowing themselves to grow in the same essence of what they're trying to keep other people to do. They're doing it to themselves, you know. And then it's like I can't help but to look back at myself and to look at, view it as a mirror and try to see what is it within me, not in a narcissistic way. That word's thrown around so much, but in a way to where it's reflective, and that it's all, it also matters the way that you look at it, or whatever so-called powers that be, and like you feel like you have to be inferior to something, or there's something controlling you or something veiling the knowledge. I feel like that alone is a major part of why things are concealed initially, is because we feel like it's being concealed, or we feel like it's being hidden, or we feel like they're hiding something. And even the aspect of saying there is what creates the suffering, not realizing that it's just a different part of you, and we're all connected. There really is no separation except for the illusion of separation that we create and that we project, or that we try to blame and put on other people, we're not realizing that it's still part of that same water, that blood, that energy, that life force, the breath, the consciousness. It doesn't really matter the name you want to give. You can call it whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, we're all connected by this essence. So there is truly no other, except again for the illusional other that we create with our projections and feeling like there is a power that be that bees on the earth. But when you I'm learning how to connect it all to where it's not a handicap for me anymore. And I'm being pushed like it's like a regurgitation, like it's like if I don't get it out, it's gonna suffocate me in a way. So I have to speak on it like whenever I feel urged to, without even knowing like the premise or like where I'm going. Just it's just like you know how you automatic write and you just start writing and you just allow. And when you allow life, it's like you realize that you were always that peace that you've been searching for. You were always that wealth or that love and that acceptance that you've been searching for, because you just simply stop blocking it and you allow it to flow through you. It's the illusions or the mentality that we create, especially in separateness and thinking that we are separate, that causes us to suffer or feel like there's something or there is an enemy or there's something to be hidden. Once you remove all of that and just get it out the way, you'll realize that you've always been the truth. You've always been aware. You've always known. You've always been, again, that love, that the things that we search for, the abundance. You are always that. You just have to learn to remove the veils that were naturally placed on us from being incarnated or being in the flesh. So, what I'm getting is the point of me regurgitating this that I am also learning at the same time that I'm speaking it. Like things are starting to, I'm starting to have epiphanies or things are starting to coagulate and come together and make sense to me. The more I talk and the more I speak. That's why I speak, is to help myself remove those blocks. And knowing that, again, we're all connected. And when I remove the blocks from myself, or, the illusion of the blocks, that we naturally affect the consciousness itself. And the walls start to melt and the veil starts to lift and things start to become clear and things start to make sense. And you start to realize, or we start to realize, that we were always that which we are searching for. There truly is no enemy except for the one that we've been programmed to create in our minds by those that are still operating in a vibration to where it's harmful to them, so it naturally affects the whole consciousness in the same way that it's doing to them, even though they're thinking they're doing it to someone else. It's like they get it at the same time they don't get it. Even with me continuing to say they, it's only for the purpose and the process of explanation to be able to make sense of it, I guess. But essentially, it's that projection or that mentality is still me. There is no they. There is only us. And the so-called they are a part of us or an aspect of us that we've created or allow ourselves to be programmed into, when we have the same choice and the same power to let it go and just to flow and just to allow things to be and unfold as they naturally are. And a lot of time, the again, the things that we think are fake are usually those things that are real. They've just been tweaked and, what do you call it, Con- uh confused, scrambled. I can't think of the word. It's a word that I'm looking for, but it's just been disconnected, misconstrued, misinterpreted. It's just basically it's been messed up, you know. But there's a lot of truth in the things that they say are fake. And there's a lot of lies in the things that they say are real. Like the flesh, this is the most, that's the biggest or one of the biggest illusions or lies that I've noticed, even from being a small baby. Like from the first time I saw that, when you look at the flesh or look at so-called physical things under a microscope, and you go into the depths of it, you realize that it's just a whole bunch of electricity and vibrations and energy. There's nothing really solid there. It only seems solid because of how dense it is or how slow the so-called energies or atoms are moving. But there's really nothing here. The closest thing to reality or realness is the sound that you hear. The sound is what created or what creates the experience or the faces or the bodies or the animals and trees that we see. It's all sound, energy, frequencies. Frequency is like just another word for sound. That's why you create with your mouth and with your tongue and the things you say. And when you speak or you feel and you go off of the frequencies that you're projecting, your eyes, I mean the frequencies that you are emitting, your eyes are the projectors to create or to make it visual of what you're speaking or the frequency that you're on or what you're hearing. A lot of the stuff that I say, it sounds crazy even coming out of my mouth, even though I understand it. It still sounds like a bunch of, like, what? Like, what are you talking about? But at the end of the day, The point is just to be open and to stop blocking yourself from the things that you're looking for. Don't true enlightenment is knowing that you can never fully reach it, and that it's infinite, and that it goes on and on and on and on and on and on forever. When you think you've reached the pinnacle, or you know it all, or you got the answer, it's always a surprise. It's always something more. It's always something more. It's always something more. And that's the problems with the so-called power. Not I don't want to say problem. Well, that's the thing with the so-called powers that be, is that instead of them continuing to evolve, they feel like they have the answers and they have the right to keep knowledge or keep wisdom or keep the truth away from those that maybe not, are not even ready, but it's the being able to access it, or having it hidden or hoarded again, that is the issue for me. So don't allow yourself to be programmed in a way that's not beneficial for you, because either way you're trusting in something. Either you can trust in the hypocrisy and the lies and the distortion and the enemy, or you can choose to change your perspective and choose to trust in that things will be revealed in their own time, that you are always that which you've been looking for. Why not? Either way, it's basically it's your own projection, it's your own choice. Why not choose things that naturally feel good, that are beneficial for you? Because we do things for a feeling anyway. So why not choose to feel the way that you can imagine yourself feeling if you waited on an outside circumstance or something else physical? If you can imagine how you would feel to have $1 million, then you can feel it now. If you can imagine how it would feel to be peaceful, then you can feel it now. You don't have to wait on circumstances to change, or something physical, or somebody to tell you, or somebody to come along to be that love now, to accept yourself now, to feel even perfect. That's that's what and the fact that being perfect is being such a thing that people like, like they shun it, and like it's pretty much like, how dare you say that you're perfect? Like, you're not perfect. I feel like that's the only way to get yourself out of the judgment of good or bad, and all is perfect, all is well. You see how things have just been twisted and misconstrued and just messed up, because all is truly perfection. It takes the so-called negative for a positive to exist. It takes the light for the darkness to exist, and vice versa. Otherwise you would have nothing to gauge it off of. It's the same thing, just different frequencies or different perspectives of the same thing. Light and dark are the same essence, just different frequencies of it. Good and bad are the same thing, just different perspectives. It's perfect. Creation is perfect. Consciousness is perfect. You are perfect. The homeostasis within you, even if you have problems or so-called issues, your hair has issues, your face, skin, your life, you know, the fact that you exist, the fact that you are a part of creation itself, shows the perfection of creation itself and all that is within it. There is no separation. Everything breathes. Everything has air, or this thing that we call air. But what I've learned is that the air, the breath, that substance that we can't see, but you can see the effects of it. You can feel it. When you do this, you can feel it around you. You can feel it when you inhale it. You can feel it when you fan yourself. That is the consciousness of which that you are, of that which you are. That's what touches everything. That's the omniscient, omnipotent, omnipresent thing that they talk about. That God source. It's the breath, the air, the wind. We're just giving it different names again, with the confusion, the distortion. But that just naturally happens from being in the flesh or being incarnated. It's just about when you get to the point to where you can say I don't know anything, then you allow yourself to learn, because as long as you're regurgitating what you think you know, then you're kind of blocking all of those things that are trying to reveal themselves. So the greatest place you can be is, I don't know, allow life to surprise you, allow life to evolve you and to reveal itself to you. Don't ever block it off by thinking that you know it all, that you have all the answers, or that you have the right or audacity to try to keep it away from somebody else or to control somebody else, when you're really essentially just doing it to yourself and stifling your own growth. Wow. So there is no enemy but the one that we create within the inner me. And I feel like that's truly where that word comes from. It's too similar. And how much I've studied etymology, and you know, I think again that's just a different level of truth. It's not, I'm sure it's not the complete truth or the end all be all, but the only enemies we create are with the inner me, or with our projection, with our perspective, with the way that we perceive someone or something, not realizing that they have their so-called own perspective in a way that they are have the free will to view. That's the only separation that there truly is the free will that the primordial essence or the consciousness have given each and every individual or each and every being or person or thing to be able to perceive and have the free will to see the world or existence how they choose, and to not force it, based on just being pure consciousness or the pure everything that there is. It's like that's the beauty of it, because without the separation or the free will, there is no oneness. Even duality is the even duality and oneness are the same thing, just on different scales, just like good and bad, light and dark, positive, negative, up, down. It's the same thing, the same core, the same coin, just flipped on different sides. It's like we are oneness, but we are also simultaneously duality. We are good, but we are also simultaneously bad. It's the judgment that causes you to be out of alignment. It causes you to teeter totter on either side of the coin or the road or whatever you want to call it. I'm good and you bad. But when you put it in the middle, when you find the middle ground, when you find the perfection and realize that it takes both for either to exist, and you live from here, from the heart space, it's a reason why the heart space is in the middle of the major chakras. It's in the middle ground. So you learn to live from the heart space, from the middle ground, from the perfection, from the non judgment. Stop judging. You can choose whether you want to experience something or not, but don't take yourself off your throne in order to look down at someone else. No matter if you think you're doing it intentionally or your intentions are good, or you know, but the judgment itself to say that someone is mean, to say that they're poor or they're ugly or something's wrong with them or they're bad or or they're struggling, like even with one of the major things that we tend to do as humans, especially when we live inside of society or in a house and we have um I guess what, clean water, and we have shelter, we tend to judge those that choose to live, or that not even choose, that do live on the streets, or that don't have access to clean water and clean clothes. We tend to look at it as bad or something's wrong. That's all the way down to the core, is taking you or blocking your natural alignment, your projection, our projection. Choose to live on the middle ground and knowing that everything is perfect, all is well. Because at the end of the day, you worrying and judging someone is not helping them or you, especially if you're not going to do anything about it. Stay in your heart space. Stay in your love. Stay in love with life. Stay in the non judgment. Stay on your throne. Yep, I'm done. How do you end this?